Captain Marcus Hale had expected the mission to be simple. Years of training, decades of combat experience, and a body conditioned for pain had taught him that no operation was ever truly easy. But this one promised rewards. A rogue alien faction had been attacking neutral colonies along the rim, and the Interstellar Council wanted it stopped. The Council had promised Marcus a reward, something small, like a medal, a promotion, or some credits. Nothing more, nothing complicated. The starship Resolute sliced through the void like a blade. Marcus sat in the cockpit, staring at the stars streaming past, his fingers tapping a rhythm on the console. He had led countless missions, but there was always a spark of anticipation before landing in hostile territory. This time, the targets were aliens of the Kelari species, towering beings with chitinous armor and an intelligence that rivaled humanity in strategy. They were dangerous, but Marcus had a plan. His squad assembled in the briefing room. Each member of the team was hand-picked. Sergeant Lena Torres, a demolitions expert with nerves of steel, Corporal Jax Harlow, a sharpshooter with impeccable aim, and Lieutenant Mai Cho, who handled communications and hacking. Marcus stood before them, outlining the operation. "We're going in fast. We hit the command hub, disable their shields, and extract. Keep it clean. We take the leader, we win the battle, and we get our reward. Simple." Lena raised an eyebrow. "Simple, huh? That's what we said last time. Remember Tarkin IV?" Marcus smirked. "Tarkin IV was complicated. This is straightforward." They departed in the drop pods, hurtling toward the Kelari stronghold. As they breached the atmosphere of the planet, Marcus could see it. Towering structures of metal and crystal, energy fields flickering like the aurora of a distant world. The Kelari were prepared, but Marcus had a way to turn preparation into opportunity. The squad landed behind a ridge, hidden from the main defenses. Marcus signaled, and Lena set charges to disable the primary energy shield. Explosions echoed across the valley, blinding the enemy sensors just long enough for the team to slip inside. Every step was calculated, every movement precise. They moved like shadows, undetected and lethal. Inside the command hub, the Kelari leader awaited, flanked by bodyguards whose armor gleamed with an iridescent light. Marcus's heart pounded, not with fear, but anticipation. He had fought stronger, faster, deadlier foes. His squad struck with precision. Jax's shots pierced armor joints, Lena's charges brought walls down, and Mai hacked their communication networks, turning the enemy's own technology against them. Minutes felt like hours, but finally the Kelari leader fell. The remaining forces scattered, their morale shattered. Marcus surveyed the scene. The command hub was quiet, the hum of energy fading. They had done it. Victory belonged to humanity. Breathing heavily, Marcus wiped sweat from his brow. "All right, team, let's get back to the ship." As they exited the ruins, a council shuttle descended, lights cutting through the smoky atmosphere. Marcus assumed the ceremony would be brief. A few words of thanks, a medal, a handshake. But instead, he was escorted to the council flagship, a vessel of incredible size and beauty, floating silently above the planet. Its surface reflected the stars, and its halls were lined with symbols he did not recognize. He was led through corridors of polished crystal and metal, past beings of every shape and size, some towering, some small, all watching him with curiosity and respect. It was unlike any reception he had ever received. And then he reached the chamber. The doors opened to reveal a hall bathed in light. At the center stood a figure that stopped Marcus in his tracks. A woman, or what appeared to be a woman, regal and poised, with features both human and alien. Her skin shimmered faintly, almost as if the light passed through it, and her eyes glowed with intelligence and depth. She bowed, her movements precise yet graceful. "Captain Marcus Hale," she said in perfect galactic common, her voice melodic but firm. "Your victory is remarkable. As tradition demands, you may claim your reward." Marcus blinked. I'm not sure I understand." "I thought the reward would be, credits, medals, or something simple." The princess smiled, a mixture of amusement and curiosity. "The reward is me. It is my people's way to honor the hero who proves himself worthy. You have earned my respect, and tradition dictates that I be given to you." For a moment, Marcus could only stare. He had faced countless enemies, survived impossible situations, and yet this was something entirely unexpected. He had not prepared for diplomacy, negotiation, or custom. He had not prepared for a person. The princess studied him, her gaze unwavering. Do not misunderstand me, Captain. I am not a prize to be taken lightly. Accepting me comes with responsibility, understanding, and the acknowledgement of our culture. You are not simply receiving me. You are entering a bond that will challenge your mind, your courage, and your judgment. Marcus swallowed hard. This was no longer a simple mission. He realized the battle was not over. A new kind of challenge awaited him, one that required diplomacy, insight, and the unique human qualities that had always set his species apart: adaptability, courage, and ingenuity. The first days aboard the Council flagship were a whirlwind. Marcus learned about the Kelari culture, their politics, and their traditions. He discovered that the princess, Lyra, was not only intelligent but a skilled strategist, trained in the arts of warfare, negotiation, and leadership. Her presence was commanding, yet she was curious about humanity, its unpredictability, its resilience, and its ingenuity. Marcus found himself in unfamiliar territory. He was used to issuing commands on the battlefield, making decisions with immediate consequences. Now he had to navigate customs he barely understood, traditions that seemed alien, and expectations that weighed heavily on him. Yet he could not deny a sense of fascination. Lyra was a puzzle, a challenge unlike any opponent he had faced, and he was determined to rise to it. As the days passed, Marcus began to notice subtle tests in her demeanor, questions designed to gauge his judgment, his morality, his patience. She challenged him with scenarios that mirrored battles but demanded solutions beyond brute force. Marcus realized that humanity's true strength was not weapons or technology alone, but the ability to think, adapt, and empathize in situations where the outcome was uncertain. One evening, while standing on a balcony overlooking the glowing expanse of the city below, Marcus spoke candidly to Lyra. "I didn't expect this. I thought the reward would be simple. I thought I'd get a medal or credits. Not this." Lyra looked at him, her expression unreadable. "You must understand, Captain, that simplicity is often a veil for ignorance. The greatest rewards test more than skill or courage. They test character, integrity, and vision. You have proven your worth on the battlefield. Now you will prove it here in ways that no weapon can measure." Marcus nodded slowly. He understood. The mission had changed. The stakes were higher. The battlefield had shifted from the ruins of alien fortresses to the complex web of politics, trust, and human-alien interaction. And if he succeeded here, humanity would gain more than a simple reward. It would gain influence, respect, and perhaps a foothold in a galaxy that had always underestimated them. But challenges awaited. Rumors of factions within Lyra's people seeking to manipulate or rebel had reached Marcus's ears. These factions viewed him as an outsider, a human, unworthy of participating in Kelari politics. Marcus knew that his ability to survive, to lead, and to adapt would be tested in ways that no combat mission ever had. As night fell, Marcus sat in his quarters, contemplating the path ahead. He thought of Earth, of the soldiers he had led, of the countless missions that had brought him here. And he thought of Lyra, her intelligence, her strength, her presence. The reward he had received was far more than he had imagined. It was a challenge, an opportunity, and a lesson in the true meaning of human strength. The first part of Marcus's journey had concluded. The mission was complete, the battlefield won. But a new journey had begun, one that would test the limits of humanity, the depth of character, and the courage to face challenges that no soldier had ever faced before. Marcus Hale had survived countless wars, but this was the beginning of a war of minds, trust, and alliances that would shape not just his destiny, but the fate of two worlds. He took a deep breath and looked toward the balcony where Lyra stood, gazing at the city below. If this is the reward, he thought, then humanity will prove itself in ways no one has ever imagined. And in that moment, Captain Marcus Hale realized that the galaxy had underestimated humans once again, and he intended to make sure they would never do so again. The days aboard the Council flagship were unlike any battle Marcus Hale had ever faced. There were no blaster fights, no ambushes, no immediate threat of death from an enemy force, but danger still existed, hidden in subtler forms. Every conversation, every glance, every gesture carried weight. Marcus quickly realized that navigating this alien world required as much skill as leading troops in combat. Princess Lyra was both a guide and a challenge. She moved with grace and authority, but she never allowed Marcus to feel entirely comfortable. In their early interactions, She posed questions that were simple in appearance but complex in meaning. "Captain," she said one morning as they walked through the vast atrium of the flagship, "if a faction within my people seeks power at the cost of innocent lives, what would you do?" Marcus considered the question carefully. On the battlefield, the answer would be straightforward: eliminate the threat. But this was not a battlefield, it was a political web. Every action would have consequences. "I would try to understand their motives," he replied. "I would seek a solution that protects lives while neutralizing the threat. Violence is the last resort, not the first." Lyra's eyes glimmered with interest. "You think like a human. You value life over power. That is unusual in Kelari culture." The word unusual struck Marcus. He had always known humans were unpredictable. Even now, he realized that unpredictability could be humanity's greatest strength. Where others relied on rigid rules, humans adapted. Where others feared the unknown, humans explored. And in this strange, alien environment, adaptability could mean the difference between success and failure. In the following days, Marcus learned more about the Kelari factions. Some were loyal to Lyra, valuing her wisdom and leadership. Others sought to manipulate her for their own gain, believing that a human could be controlled or intimidated. Marcus was no stranger to opposition, but this was different. These opponents did not attack with weapons. They attacked with words, schemes, and influence. One evening, while walking through the gardens aboard the flagship, Marcus overheard a conversation between two council members. "He's just a human," one said, their voice dripping with disdain. "He cannot understand our customs. He cannot influence the outcome." The other laughed softly. "Perhaps not, but humans are clever. Their courage is unmatched. If he survives long enough, he may change the course of history here." Marcus's curiosity was piqued. He realized that while some Kelari underestimated him, others recognized the potential humans had. That potential was not strength of body or firepower, but resilience, creativity, and moral courage. Humans had survived countless wars on Earth, on the Rim, and in hostile environments no alien species had faced. That history, often dismissed, was now his advantage. Lyra was a constant presence in this education. She tested Marcus in ways no simulation or battlefield drill could replicate. One day, she arranged a scenario where Marcus had to negotiate a dispute between two minor factions, both with conflicting demands that could escalate into violence. Marcus approached the situation with careful logic, proposing solutions that satisfied both sides while protecting the innocent. He emphasized compromise, communication, and foresight, qualities that alien factions often overlooked in favor of dominance. By the end of the negotiation, Lyra looked at him with approval. "You are clever, Captain Hale. You see beyond immediate advantage. You think of consequences, of ethics, of lives. That is why humanity survives despite being so small among the stars." Marcus felt a surge of pride, not pride of conquest, but of purpose. Humans were underestimated everywhere in the galaxy. Here, in the presence of beings who believed themselves superior, he had a chance to prove that human ingenuity and morality were forces to be reckoned with. However, not all challenges were intellectual. Marcus soon discovered that some Kelari factions viewed him with suspicion and hostility. He could feel their eyes on him during council meetings, their whispers following him through hallways. They questioned his right to be near Lyra, to influence decisions, and even to live. These subtle attacks were unlike anything Marcus had faced. No enemy had ever tried to defeat him with intrigue alone. He learned to respond with a combination of strategy and honesty. When one counselor attempted to trap him in a debate about Kelari law, Marcus countered with facts, logic, and a calm demeanor. When another tried to provoke him with insults, Marcus remained silent, letting his actions speak louder than words. Slowly, he began to earn respect, not through fear, but through demonstration of human resilience and intelligence. Lyra watched these developments closely. She occasionally intervened, guiding Marcus or redirecting situations when necessary. Yet she never shielded him completely. Marcus appreciated this. He understood that true partnership required trust and equality, not favoritism. He was learning to navigate alien politics while maintaining his identity as a human. One night, the flagship was suddenly rocked by an alert. Sensors detected an approaching fleet of rebel ships, factions opposed to Lyra's rule. Marcus and Lyra rushed to the command center, where Lyra's advisors debated strategy. Some suggested immediate attack, others recommended surrender to avoid casualties. Marcus looked at Lyra. "We don't just react, we create opportunity, we make them play our game." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Go on, Captain, show me how humans fight without weapons." Marcus proposed a plan that combined human unpredictability with Kelari technology. They would use decoy transmissions, stealth maneuvers, and feigned retreats to confuse the rebels. His strategy was bold, relying on intuition and creativity rather than brute force. The Kelari advisors hesitated, uncertain whether such tactics could succeed. The attack began. Rebel ships moved into position, expecting easy victory. Marcus's plan unfolded perfectly. Decoys misled the enemy fleet, traps disabled key ships, and stealth units struck with precision. Lyra coordinated the loyal forces, her knowledge of her people's technology enhancing Marcus's plan. By the end of the battle, the rebel fleet was forced to retreat. Lyra's rule remained secure, and Marcus's strategy had proven effective. The council members who had doubted him now acknowledged his skill, some openly, some quietly. Marcus realized that human ingenuity was not just about survival, it was about shaping events in ways no one expected. After the battle, Marcus and Lyra stood on the observation deck, watching the stars streak past. "You see, Captain Hale," Lyra said, "humans survive because they are unpredictable, adaptable, and willing to act where others hesitate. That is why you succeeded where my people might have failed." Marcus nodded. "It's not just me, it's all of humanity. We survive because we learn, because we improvise, because we care. We don't just fight for victory, we fight for each other." Lyra smiled, a mixture of admiration and curiosity. "You have much to teach my people, Marcus, perhaps more than you realize. And perhaps more than I can teach you in return." Over the following weeks, Marcus became a symbol of human capability. He trained Kelari forces in tactics that combined human flexibility with alien technology. He mediated disputes that could have escalated into civil war. And through it all, he and Lyra grew closer, not through romance alone, but through mutual respect and shared purpose. Marcus saw that Lyra was more than a reward. She was a leader, a partner, and a mirror reflecting humanity's potential. Together, they navigated political intrigue, alien traditions, and factional threats. Marcus's presence reminded the Kelari that humans were not to be underestimated, not in battle, not in strategy, and not in diplomacy. Yet challenges remained. Rumors of a secret faction plotting against Lyra persisted. Marcus knew that victory in one battle did not guarantee lasting peace. He would need to anticipate threats, devise new strategies, and continue proving that humans could stand as equals among the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. One evening, Lyra confided in him. "Captain, the factions plotting against me are patient. They wait for a moment of weakness. You must be ready, because when the time comes, all of your instincts and judgment will be tested." Marcus clenched his fists, determination burning in his chest. "I've faced impossible odds before. I've survived situations no one thought I could. I'll be ready." Lyra nodded. "Good, because humanity's next challenge will not be simple. It will test not only courage, but wisdom, foresight, and the very heart of what makes your species remarkable." As he prepared for the trials ahead, Marcus reflected on how far he had come. The soldier who had expected a simple reward now found himself in a complex web of politics, strategy, and partnership. Yet he felt alive in a way no battlefield had ever given him. He was learning that true strength lay not just in the ability to fight, but in the ability to think, to adapt, and to inspire those around him. And so the second chapter of Marcus Hale's journey unfolded. A journey where human resilience, ingenuity, and morality would face tests unlike any other, setting the stage for challenges that would shape the destiny of two worlds and define humanity's place in the galaxy. The calm. Before the storm felt almost unnatural aboard the Council flagship. Captain Marcus Hale had spent weeks navigating the delicate web of Kelari politics, winning over skeptical factions, and training forces that blended human adaptability with alien technology. But he knew that peace was fragile. The rebel faction that had begun stirring unrest was patient and cunning, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Lyra stood beside him in the command center, her eyes scanning the display of approaching ships. The fleet was larger than before, more organized, and equipped with experimental weapons that could have devastated an unprepared force. "They've learned from their last failure," Lyra said, her voice steady but tinged with concern. "This time they will not underestimate us." Marcus nodded. "Then we won't give them a chance. Humans survive by thinking ahead, by adapting, and we'll show them that our unpredictability is our greatest weapon." The plan they devised was audacious. Instead of meeting the rebels head-on, they would split their forces. Small human-led strike teams would use stealth and unconventional tactics to disrupt supply lines and communications, while Lyra's loyal fleet engaged the enemy at a distance, luring them into traps. It was a strategy that required trust, coordination, and absolute precision. As the first wave of rebels moved into position, Marcus and his teams were already in the shadows, hidden by the alien technology they had learned to operate. The Kelari fleet engaged, drawing enemy fire and forcing the rebels to commit to the battle. Then Marcus struck. His squads moved silently, disabling key relay stations, sabotaging ships, and creating confusion among the rebels. The enemy expected traditional combat, but what they faced was chaos, human ingenuity amplified by Kelari technology. Lyra watched with admiration as Marcus adapted in real time, responding to unexpected movements and threats. He anticipated their strategies, turning each move against them. Her people had relied on rigid protocols for centuries, but Marcus demonstrated a flexibility that no algorithm or historical precedent could predict. Hours passed in tense precision. Explosions rocked the fleet, alarms blared, and smoke filled the corridors of ships. Marcus led from the front, not recklessly but strategically. Every decision he made balanced risk and reward, prioritizing both the safety of his forces and the effectiveness of their actions. By nightfall, the rebels' fleet was in disarray. Their communications were jammed, their ships disabled, and morale shattered. In the aftermath of the battle, Marcus and Lyra convened with the loyal factions of the Kelari Council. The rebels had been forced to retreat, but Marcus knew this was only a temporary victory. He needed a solution that would prevent further uprisings and secure lasting peace. He proposed a bold initiative, a coalition of human and Kelari forces, led jointly by him and Lyra, to stabilize the region. This coalition would combine human adaptability with Kelari strength, demonstrating to all factions that cooperation and strategy were more powerful than division and aggression. Some council members were skeptical, but Lyra supported the idea wholeheartedly, recognizing that humanity's approach was exactly what her people needed. Marcus trained the coalition tirelessly. He emphasized flexibility, observation, and creative problem-solving, qualities humans had relied upon for millennia. Soldiers learned to think independently while maintaining cohesion, to anticipate threats before they emerged, and to use every resource at their disposal. Marcus's leadership transformed the coalition into a force that was not only strong but unpredictable, an advantage no rebel faction could easily counter. Meanwhile, Marcus and Lyra's relationship deepened. They were no longer merely allies, they were partners in vision and strategy. Lyra had begun to see humanity's full potential, not just in combat but in diplomacy, innovation, and morality. Marcus, in turn, admired her intelligence, resilience, and ability to unite her people. Together, they formed a bond that transcended species, politics, and tradition. The decisive moment came weeks later. Intelligence reports indicated that the rebels were planning an assault on the capital planet, hoping to seize Lyra and claim her authority. Marcus and Lyra prepared for what could have been a catastrophic attack, knowing that failure would have consequences far beyond the battlefield. As the rebel fleet emerged from hyperspace, Marcus issued commands with calm authority. Human and Kelari ships moved in coordinated patterns, striking at the enemy's weak points and exploiting every error. Marcus personally led a strike team to disable the rebels' central command ship, infiltrating it using stealth technology and precise timing. Inside the ship, Marcus encountered resistance from elite rebels, but his experience in countless battles proved invaluable. He fought efficiently, using tactics that combined human ingenuity with Kelari training. One by one, the enemy officers were neutralized, and the ship's command systems were seized. Marcus's presence on the battlefield inspired both human and Kelari soldiers, who fought with renewed determination and unity. Meanwhile, Lyra directed the loyal fleet from orbit, her strategic mind complementing Marcus's instincts. Together, They created a seamless blend of human unpredictability and alien precision. By the time the battle concluded, the rebel fleet had been decimated. Their forces surrendered, realizing that resistance was futile. In the aftermath, Marcus and Lyra addressed the council and the surviving rebel factions. Marcus spoke not as a conqueror, but as a representative of humanity, emphasizing cooperation, respect, and shared responsibility. His words resonated, demonstrating that humans were not only capable warriors, but also intelligent diplomats, capable of inspiring trust and unity among diverse civilizations. The council formally recognized Marcus's contributions, not with a simple medal, but with the authority to advise on interstellar affairs, bridging human and Kelari interests. Lyra publicly acknowledged him as a partner, solidifying the bond between their species. The victory was not only military but cultural. Humans had earned respect, trust, and influence in a galaxy that had once underestimated them. As Marcus stood beside Lyra on the observation deck, overlooking the rebuilt capital city, he reflected on the journey. What had begun as a mission for a simple reward had transformed into something far greater. He had survived not just battles, but political intrigue, cultural challenges, and the tests of leadership. Humanity had proven itself, not through sheer force, but through adaptability, intelligence, and courage. Lyra turned to him, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "Captain Hale, you have done more than I could have imagined. Your people have earned a place among us, not as mercenaries or soldiers, but as equals." Marcus smiled, feeling the weight of the moment. "It wasn't just me. Humans survive because we work together, because we adapt, and because we never give up. Today, humanity has shown the galaxy what we can do." Lyra nodded, placing a hand on his shoulder. "And together we will ensure that peace lasts. The galaxy will remember this day, not as a victory of one species, but as a testament to cooperation, courage, and the strength that comes from understanding one another." The galaxy had underestimated humans once again. But Marcus Hale knew that this time, humanity's influence would endure. Their adaptability, ingenuity, and moral courage had reshaped the fate of an entire civilization. And as he looked at Lyra, he realized that the reward he had received, the princess, the partnership, the respect of a proud alien people, was worth more than any medal, credit, or simple recognition. The stars stretched endlessly before them, and Marcus understood that this was only the beginning. Humanity's journey through the galaxy was far from over, but they had proven that they could not only survive, they could lead, inspire, and shape the future. And in that moment, Captain Marcus Hale stood not just as a soldier, but as a symbol of what humans could achieve. Courage in the face of danger, wisdom in the midst of chaos, and the indomitable will to rise above every challenge. The reward had been unexpected, the challenges immense, but the triumph undeniable. Humanity had once again earned its place among the stars. As the flagship glided silently through the void, Marcus and Lyra looked out together, ready to face whatever new adventures awaited them. The galaxy had learned a lesson: underestimate humans at your own peril. And Marcus knew that with ingenuity, courage, and partnership, humanity's story was only beginning. The mission had begun as a simple assignment with a promised reward, but it had become a journey of discovery, resilience, and victory. Marcus had faced enemies on the battlefield, opponents in political halls, and challenges of the heart and mind. And through it all, he had proven that humans, no matter how small or underestimated, could achieve greatness beyond imagination. The stars shone brightly, and Marcus Hale, human soldier turned strategist, leader, and symbol of hope, smiled. Humanity had not just survived, it had triumphed. And with Princess Lyra at his side, the galaxy would never forget the name of Captain Marcus Hale, nor the day when humans reminded the universe of their power, ingenuity, and unwavering spirit.